Is there such a thing as bad publicity? Welcome to the General Podcast.
Woo!
Yeah. Okay, this is a podcast series where we discuss events and issues so that students as well as everyone else can learn from them at the same time. I'm your host, JH.
And I'm your co-host, Eunice.
And today, once again, we have a very special guest joining us on the show, and we have Stanley.
Woo!
It's me again.
Yo.
Yeah, right. Happy to have you on the show once again, right? So today, our focus is that we're going to be talking about celebrities as well as high-profile figures. But first, let's talk a little bit about what publicity even means. Publicity, according to the dictionary definition, right, it means to give notice or attention to someone or something, whether by means of spotlighting in the media or whatnot. Okay, so what this basically means, right, is that if you give anybody or anything, any form of attention, it basically means that, oh, he or she would have already received publicity, right? So this idea of bad or good publicity comes in. Let's try to keep the discussion a little bit more defined today. So we are looking at it specifically in terms of monetary terms, right? Whether that attention actually brings you profit or not, or even by way of your reputation, like, whether it gives you a very bad or good image in the public spotlight. Okay, so for me personally, right, one of the most high profile cases obviously comes from this guy called Logan Paul, right? Okay, so just a bit of a background. Logan Paul is this, I believe he was like an influencer on the previous social media app called Vine. Yeah, so it's kind of like the millennial or boomer version of TikTok, right? So it was like, basically you could only upload 7-second content on it. But eventually, when that app closed down, Logan Paul had actually moved his operations onto YouTube. So he started making vlogs. Then his shot to fame, or rather his downfall, actually came from his video that he recorded when he was visiting the suicide forest in Japan, Aokigahara. I think I kind of butchered that one. But basically, the reason why that video got so out of hand was because when he was in the forest itself and filming, he actually captured the footage of a corpse, like someone who actually committed suicide there. So from that particular case, right, it actually blew up on the internet quite a fair bit, and people were calling him out, saying that he was very insensitive to the cultures in Japan because suicide is a very controversial topic to begin with. So this had actually put him a lot in the public spotlight. But some people may actually argue that all this attention that was given to him, right, had actually helped him to bounce back from his career and made him even more famous. So what happened after that was that he actually issued an apology video. It was a terrible thing to do. I felt like I needed to grow out of it. And that was where actually a lot of his success today, right, and a lot of the attention that he's given actually comes from this particular incident. So what do you guys think? Do you think that there is such a thing as bad or good publicity for him in this case?
I think you brought out a good point, right? When you said like this particular incident, right, actually paved his way for his future success. Because I feel like this incident that happened, right, actually brought his career to another path, which is the more mature path that allowed him to take on a new demographic of people, which in my opinion is much more affluent, that can profit off more lah. So then this particular incident technically would be very good publicity in the grand scheme of things. But obviously at that moment in time, it didn't look like it's gonna be good for his career in any sense. But then he managed to play his cards right.
I think also that particular incident at that point in time, from a moral standpoint, it was totally insensitive. But the fact that he managed to turn it around, right, that was probably going to help him a lot. So initially, I would say it's bad publicity because it actually caused his reputation to go downhill. And he even made an apology video after that, right? So just now JH was sharing. And that apology video actually had greater dislikes than likes because of the way he put himself in the apology videos. In actual fact, I think apology videos, right, it can go either way. If you do it very well, it will kind of salvage your reputation in some sense. But if you do it very insincerely and you're doing it because you got caught, not because you really felt sorry about it or you feel truly repentant of your actions, right, it can go very downhill from there. And I think it did go very downhill from there. So after that, he had, Logan Paul actually had certain key figures in his life who came in and helped turn his image around. So I think that is very important as well. So a bad publicity can be continuously a bad publicity if there is perhaps no redemption factor, right? And in this case for Logan Paul, there was a redemption factor, and the redemption factor came in the form of a few key figures, right? So from what I know and understand, because I would say like there's this older gentleman that kind of helped him out with the way he portrayed himself in the public's eye. So he became a bit more mature. He had a few podcasts, right? Or many podcasts for that matter. And the kind of audience that he resonates with is older as well. So that's all I know about the fact that he did all these stuff. I think you were also mentioning just now, JH, that there was this Pokemon. I have no idea what's that.
Okay, so
Please
on my
elaborate.
end, one of the key things that I know about Logan Paul as well is that after he kind of like bounced back, right, from the whole incident, as Stanley was mentioning as well, that his entire demographic had actually changed. One way of reshaping his own image was also that he suddenly came out of nowhere and said that, hey, you know what, I collect Pokemon cards too. As a Pokemon card collector myself,
Who's that Pokemon?
okay, this was, in its entirety, it was a piece of good news overall because that means that, we have this high profile figure, someone who's also into the hobby. So it put a lot of attention on hobby itself. He will always be known as a controversial figure, but that's why he thrives so much as well. It's because he thrives on controversy, and that's what gets people talking about him. And because he himself has entered a hobby like Pokemon card collecting, people started having more conversations about the hobby itself as well. So if I were to put it that way, yes, his bad publicity did sort of help him bounce back to bring about some other benefits as well to the things that are around him.
I think he's also very involved in crypto/NFT space. He's so involved, right, that if he were to tweet something about a certain NFT, right, immediately, right, the value of that, right, you will see it start going up quite significantly. Because, right, I think they have this circle of influencers who have a lot of followers also. So the moment he tweet, right, majority of the audience will associate, say like, okay, if Logan Paul is buying, right, this group of people is also buying. And if they are buying, right, they have so much money, they're going to inject a lot of liquidity here. So everybody starts buying also, then the price starts going up. That's what he does now.
Yeah, so you were also saying just now about how influence can really, really turn things around for specific figures. So it started off for Logan Paul as, somebody who is very like havoc. Okay, then after that it turned around.
Yeah.
And if we talk about the situation, the context to which he is flourishing right now, right, it is within the Western, the US context, right? So I would say as well the influence that he has, right, the people that follow him, they are a little bit more receptive towards flawed individuals, people who have done stuff that are totally like, what the heck you're doing, but then give them a little bit more benefit of the doubt to make changes, because everybody makes mistakes. But if we look at more conservative societies, right, so the recent saga about Freezia / Songjia from Singles Inferno, right?
So that's a Netflix show about dating, right? I caught that one.
Yeah, so that one, right, it's South Korea. And South Korea, if you compare it to the US, is clearly very, very different, right? Much more conservative. So what happened for the Songjia / Freezia scandal, right, was that she's from Singles Inferno. And I think what started this whole scandal, right, was that one of her shirts that she wore in an episode of Singles Inferno, the Netflix series, was actually a counterfeit. So it was like a fake Chanel shirt. And certain viewers, certain netizens called her out for that. And then it unraveled a whole series of, oh my goodness, whatever she's wearing is actually not real, it's fake. And then it got quite bad. Okay, but it wasn't to the point where Freezia / Gia, I'm just gonna call her Gia from now on, is like, she cannot take it. She can understand why there's so much backlash, but she can take it. But then it got to the point where netizens became a bit crazy, a bit out of hand, and they actually went after her family. So she actually had a lot of publicity because of Singles Inferno. But then because she got caught wearing certain counterfeit branded items, and then this is where her reputation took a hit. And some people say that it is very difficult for her to bounce back already because of what happened. So what do you all think of this situation?
From my end, one thing I heard about Songjia was that she had a relatively large following actually even before Singles Inferno. But it was because of that same Netflix series that actually made her kind of like skyrocket, right? Made her fame soar through the air. But I mean, that is a situation of good publicity eventually turning bad. And of course, there's that whole incident about people going after her family as well. So that's a bit much in my opinion. But I would say that yes, bad publicity is actually something that's very, very real, because someone like Songjia, she begins to be associated with, high-end luxury brands. And suddenly, because of this whole scandal, she gets immediately associated with nothing more than, she's just someone who's very, very fake. And I think especially in a very conservative South Korean society, there's a small demographic of people who follow her precisely because she's someone who's from a very high social standing. Because she began being associated with all this, right, it actually made the entire image of her fall apart and crumble, right? So even after she posted an apology video, I think she basically took down the rest of the videos on her socials and just left the apology video there. From a Singapore perspective, we probably wouldn't go to that extent, right? Like, if my friend were to be wearing fake products, I'll probably be like, hey, why are you wearing a fake Rolex? Like, and like poke fun at him. But personally, from my own end, I would just say that it's actually a bad thing. Like, I can't see a way that how she might be able to climb out of this rut.
We talk about like what happened to Logan Paul, right? And what happened to Songjia, right? So Logan Paul received backlash because of the whole suicide forest situation, which is justified, right? Because clearly it's totally insensitive. But then what do you think about what happened to Songjia in terms of the wearing of counterfeit items? Do you think it's justified that she got so much backlash?
So basically, right, I don't think that it's very justified for her to get a lot of backlash. Why I don't think so, right, is because she portrayed herself as a model, a pretty girl. But it's at no point, I would say, she actually said publicly, right, that I only wear branded good, this is all branded good, right? So she just wear what looks nice to her, right? And her job as a model, right, I would say, is to actually just make clothes look good, regardless of whether it's branded or not branded. She never say Songjia branded wear model, you know? Her job is just to make the clothes look good. So if you saw her wearing a fake clothes and you think it looks good, then the fact is she made it look good, and that's her job, right? So if whether it's fake or real, it actually shouldn't matter in that sense. But people actually follow her because of she's known for this silver spoon kind of thing, right? Then I would say now branded brands may not want to find her because, right, she actually associated herself with counterfeit goods. So I can understand like brands like maybe if Gucci or LV will never ask her to be a model now because they don't want the scenario where people will say, hey, she wearing a Gucci shirt now. Is it real? Right? So I guess she'll lose that clientele. But in terms of normal consumers like us, right, I feel like don't need go on a witch hunt for her because like she never ever said that she's only wearing good stuff, right? She just makes stuff look good. And that's what she did, right? And whether it's real or fake, right, most of these people get their source from the internet. They themselves don't even know what's real or fake. So previously, okay, this is real. Then suddenly when somebody else come out, hey, this is fake. Oh, then now this is fake. So your real or fake also came from a third party point of view. It was never your knowledge or whatever thing. You don't even know what's real or fake. Why you even care what's real or fake? You know, you're just getting your sources from everywhere else. You never had like your own opinion. You just took somebody else's opinion, right?
So is that jumping on the bandwagon kind of situation where perhaps certain people here say this and oh, okay, there's this new person that I can love to hate. So I would just jump on their bandwagon and hate her for it. And I do agree that I feel it's not justified with the kind of backlash that she get. There is definitely perhaps a need to kind of sound out that whatever she's doing is not right. Maybe whatever she's doing, she didn't go through her mind. She didn't really think things through. But at the same time, there is a limit to a lot of things. And in this case, the backlash that she got was really too much already. And at this point in time, hearsay that she wouldn't be able to continue to flourish in the South Korean market. And latest news is that she's trying to go into China, into Chinese markets to see whether she can try her best to do what she loves to do or do what she's good at, which is modeling for brands and stuff like that. And also it was found out as well, right? Because we talked about like a third party authentication. So what Songjia did was that she actually went to a place that authenticate all these like branded items. And out of 500 items, right, only 20 were actually considered as counterfeit goods, right? And then because like, oh, the 20, right, is so much in the media spotlight, it kind of became her identity as she is that of a fake person, right? But in actual fact, there is like 480 items out there that are real. Okay, but people don't see that. People choose to hate on the 20. And also, a lot of these items that turned out to be fake, some of them she bought it off like some regular Korean markets, street markets, without really thinking too much. So yes, there is a blind side on her part. But at the same time, there were also certain items that were given to her by other people, right? By some managers from another company selling fashion apparel. And then she was like, oh, thank you. Okay, I like it. I'll wear it. So why are we throwing her under the bus and just saying like, hey, you are a fake person and stuff like that? So I think South Korea or perhaps in general, Asian societies tend to be a bit more conservative. But right, I think the chances right now for her is not very high. You know?
Actually, right, this brings out like a very good answer to whether what makes bad publicity, right? So initially, people will probably think that Logan Paul one is bad publicity, right? But it's actually the key things that makes it whether it's ultimately good or bad publicity, right, is whether you can eventually make a comeback from it, right? So as long as you can turn whatever media attention is on you, right, and you can turn it around to eventually make either gain back your reputation and make money from it, right, or make money, maybe making money is the more important metric here, right, then that publicity is definitely good eventually, right?
True.
So now the key thing here that we have to see in the future, right, is whether this Freezia girl, right, can actually come back, right, and build a new image or make money from it again. If she can, right, then whatever spotlight that was on her, right, there will be good spotlight because she's put in front of a bigger audience because of this fiasco. So it's like extra, maybe a few million people will know her. If not, these few million people wouldn't know her. If she can actually turn it around, then that will become like the Logan Paul scenario. He managed to turn it around and change his entire game around. Yeah.
It is true though, but I guess in this case, right, since we're making a comparison, right, it's quite interesting we were mentioning about that. Because for someone like Logan Paul, he is someone who has always been a very controversial figure. So when this spotlight was placed on him, he was able to relish in that moment and basically tell people that like, hey, yeah, this is me. This was exactly what I did. But perhaps for someone like Songjia, who was probably already associated with the high life from the beginning, it will probably be very hard for her to do the same, right? But since we're on this topic about other controversial figures, right, about whether like people can really stage a comeback or not, let's take it someone more locally as well, right? Okay, and personally, it is someone that I am very iffy about because I do see him as a very controversial figure. But more recently, we have Dee Kosh, the scandals around him as well. So that was also one thing that was brought up locally. So what happened to him was that there was a whole sex scandal surrounding him, right, where he was accused of or like trying to pay off young boys,
underage
boys, okay, to basically perform sexual services with him. He was actually put a lot in the public spotlight. There was screenshot of his conversations with some of these individuals. They were released online, and there was a lot of backlash about him. But before that, he was actually a very significant figure within Singapore's industry. After all, he was a radio DJ. Because of this particular incident, it actually cost him like his job and everything, right? So what do you guys think about this one?
Personally, I think he's currently in the same scenario as the Jiho girl. He's like in the part where can he Freezia. So it's like now the crucial point is whether can he actually turn it around. I mean, whether ultimately is real or fake, right? I don't think that's the point we're debating here, right? What we're debating here is whether he can turn this attention that is on him to his benefit, right? So
but this involves the law though, so that's a bit trickier, right?
But the thing is that that's only involves the law if it's real, right? Assuming he doesn't go to jail, because whatever publicity you have, if you cannot make money out of it because you go to jail, then there's no point. The publicity is no use. It's definitely bad publicity already because you can't make money. Remember the most important metric, right? So if you cannot make that most important metric, then obviously it's don't need to debate lah. It's just bad publicity right there, right? So if he can turn it around without going to jail, definitely. Actually, now I think about it, right, there might be another thing that you have to consider is that his audience is mainly Singaporeans. I feel like the Singapore media scene, right, there's only so much audience pool, you can have. So even if he were to turn it around, it'll definitely be less audience that view him now than last time. Because the new audience that you can gain, right, from this publicity it was not much more. The people who knew this, who catch on to this news, right, it's like either already know him and very few new people would have known him. Not like in other countries where like let's say Logan Paul news, when he come out this one, it spread like wildfire, even sometimes on some US newspaper. So it's like he gets new people to know him. People who didn't know who Logan Paul was now know him. That's how the publicity works, If you stick to the same demographic, the same number of audience, then you'll just definitely decrease. It's about this new audience, right, that have a bad image of you or know about this bad news of you. Then they come in and know you. Then that's whether you can convert this total publicity and make it good in a sense, right? So as a Singaporean content creator, maybe for him, right, there will definitely be a net loss, right?
That's true. Since we talk about the Kosh situation, there are many things that perhaps we as the layman, right, general population, we don't really consider, right? We only look at the headlines of media portrayal. So don't know if any of you actually watched the Dee Kosh YouTube video, the apology video, which I guess not many, right? But he did make some clarifications about what happened, right? So the way the media portrayed him was that he was already like automatically confirmed, Stem plus Chop, actually went to sexually groom young boys, underage boys, and yeah, try to make sexual advances to them, right? But there's actually much more nuance to that. So to him, when he went onto Tinder, right, the app, he did talk to certain users, but he was not aware that they were underage, right? So in the eyes of the law, it doesn't matter whether you're aware or not aware. You put yourself in that position, you are guilty. Okay, but then of course you really don't know, right? How because there's this age limit, right? I don't use Tinder.
I'm about to light up your Tinder.
So Mr. Stanley, you are very well
I don't know
known.
about the age limit because I always above the age one, okay?
18, right?
Huh?
I believe.
Yeah, I think so lah. I think it's
Yeah.
minimum 18 lah.
Yeah.
So like I think the definitely against the law thing, right? Is like he sure lose to the law lah. If let's say he's caught lah. I mean, if everything is factual, right? But then as a normal person again, right? You cannot think like the law because you're not the law. So you have to think in your own shoes. If some girl right there is 18 years old, right, or even 21, 22 years old, then you talk to her and she starts leading you on and whatever, right? In the end, you find out she's 17, right? It's like, cannot do anything, one. So you have to understand what kind of position he's put in. Imperfect information is no way he could have known, right? Until a person tell. If you put yourself in his scenario, right, you'll be more empathetic and you wouldn't go on a witch hunt for him. Because like, come on, this dude don't even know. And you could easily be one of them, right? Then if you were one of them, you will be asking for mercy also. So you should give mercy.
On that
That's
note,
true.
right, I mean, personally, I'm one of those that generally have a very bad impression of Dee Kosh. But with what you guys have mentioned so far, I must agree to this aspect where a lot of the media spotlight on him is focused on the very extremely negative things, right? So it's like, if the media portrays and tells you that, he has these screenshots of pieces of evidence with young underage men, then immediately you'll be like, oh my goodness, what is he doing, right? But yes, we also then consider like what's the whole story around it. It's the same as like Song Ji-a's situation. Like if she has 500 branded goods and 480 of them are actually real, but people don't care about it, right? That's the way publicity works. That's the way information is spread. People love controversy. But unfortunately for him in this case, I guess
It's tied to the law.
it's tied to the law. It really severely backfired against him and he can't escape from it, right? And speaking of someone who couldn't escape away from the law, right? Dee Kosh is just one of the few that perhaps is more common during this period of time. But there was also another content creator, Titus Logan.
Let's talk a little bit about what happened to him though. Like, what's the scandal about?
Yeah, from what I do know is that essentially he was a creator who basically had pornographic material or like sexually obscene material on his social media page, right? So Onlyfans is like this platform where apparently, I wouldn't know, right? I wouldn't know about Onlyfans, but I heard that people can basically subscribe to certain profiles and gain access to their content. So apparently he got brushes with the law because there probably were reports made against his page. And in Singapore, it is actually against the law to be distributing pornographic materials or sexually explicit materials. You can be jailed, you can be fined. So in this case, it was considered a criminal offense. So after he disseminated the information, the initial facts were that he was told by the police to stop distributing these materials, but he didn't stop. And eventually he did continue and the case rolled on even till today. So in this particular instance though, what kind of publicity would you classify this as? Is this good publicity for him then, do you think?
I think personally it was good because he gained a lot of attention and I guess his following expanded and then his following is very closely tied to the amount of money that he can earn, right? Because he earns through subscription of his content. And I believe he was also like on certain like newspaper articles. And then what happened after that, right, was that he was caught by the police. And there were actually quite a lot of people who actually shared like, how come he kena backlash, but then girls who posted on OnlyFans didn't kena anything, right? So what is this like gender inequality, that kind of thing, right? So I think it's again lack of information, lack of understanding of the whole situation. So I feel that it started off good, but bad publicity, I guess, because he got caught. Right, so that's
Actually,
why.
I think, right, I would say like it would have been good if he just left the country.
Oh.
You know, if he just left the country early, right, so that the government cannot have chance of catching him, then all this publicity is definitely good publicity because, like I said, more people know him now, right? Then he can use it to actually make money, ma. But the thing is that because he didn't leave, he stay here, right? Now he's like under a law, they take down his account. Firstly, you take down an account, you cannot make money from the account, right? So the first metric you fail already. Second one, you're gonna go to jail if you get really
Convicted.
then you really go to jail, then all the more confirm don't have money and don't even need to think about anything. Like you can only got chance to revive after you're out of jail. So it's definitely will be bad publicity if you're caught because it's net loss definitely all net loss only there's no gain from it. Yeah, so it's like he should have left the country Yeah. Yeah, and another point of the fact that like people saying why the other people who post never get caught, then after that only he get caught, right? I would say right that it's like the 377A, right?
Correct, the penal
right.
code.
No have gay sex or something. Yeah, so the thing is that it's the same thing that type of law. We have that law, but then they don't actively enforce the law, right? Right, they try to close one eye on it. Then maybe like low-key, you know your friend got gay sex with another guy. Then you're like, oh, okay, never mind, it's okay. But the thing is that if you go and put it in front of them, right, they have no choice. They cannot close one eye. It's like they want to close one eye also cannot. You go and do the act in front of them. You put it out there and spread it throughout the whole Singapore. Hey, I distribute pornographic materials online. What you expect? The police want to close one eye also cannot close, right? So the point is not that, oh, why does other people never caught? It's that we actually don't want to catch them one, right? We all the while give chance one. It's just that you do it in front of me, I have no choice but to not give chance. There was no double standards. It's not a case of double standard. It's that all the while the standard was we close one eye. It's you forced me to open my eyes.
That's an interesting take on things, I would say. And again, then that's definitely going to be considered as a bad publicity, right? So it's that it actually turned out as good publicity because income generation, right?
Yeah.
Then after that,
Then
it became
overshot, then become bad now.
bad publicity. You know, I do believe in the saying that everybody loves a redemption arc. So do you think that like for Titus, right, would he actually be able to make a comeback from this?
I would say even if he come back, it will definitely be net loss. Like the Dee Kosh, it will definitely be net loss of viewers. Of course, if you talk about he can suddenly gain international exposure, then that one definitely will be plus. But of course, I'm not so sure his demographic is what. Maybe his OnlyFans is like all the while is already internationally got quite a lot of views. Maybe like those Angmoh girls who like Asian boys.
In my opinion, I would say that it is still possible for such people to make comebacks. So in this case, I mean, it's still ongoing, right? So I wouldn't know with regard to Dee Kosh or Titus Low about what they could possibly do. But I would say that, like, I mean, in my opinion, is that, yeah, I mean, everyone deserves second chances regardless. But bad publicity will remain as something that is unerasable.
Actually, I thought of something. I think the most important thing here, right, is as long as the person is talented, right, nobody can hide their talent. And people like Dee Kosh, right, who's cannot deny it, he's a very entertaining figure, he's funny, and he's witty sometimes also, right? And he got the personality. This one cannot keep on. Eventually, when he comes back up, right, new people will like him for what he is because that's what he is. He's an entertainer. And the previous people who last time lose faith in him will come back and realize why they used to love him. I would say they can always make comeback one as long as they try. Right?
So do you think Titus is talented?
Okay,
then?
that one hard lah. I mean, piece of meat. Whether
I think it's because of the content that he produces.
Sorry,
No, it's because of the content.
Yeah.
Because you can't make a comeback using the same content,
yeah,
right?
I think he has to change somehow. Maybe to
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe he can prove me wrong, but I would say he definitely have to change.
The context that I would like to also talk about is the country that they are in. Right? Because I mean we talk about, you know, the kind of content that they make, what was the controversy that they were embroiled in, but at the same time it is also the society that they're living in. And just now, Stanley, you were talking about this point of target audience, the kind of people who consume the content. Because like for Logan Paul, he's in the US, they are more forgiving, they are more open, right? And it's such a huge population, right? Compared to South Korea, compared to Singapore.
Yeah.
Right. So could we also say that your ability to make a comeback, one possible factor could be where you're born or where you're currently residing at?
Well, actually,
Could that be a possible factor?
where you're born, maybe not, is where you're residing at. Because
Okay.
obviously you can move, right?
Yes.
So I would say it's actually might be quite true. Because when there's a larger audience, right, then there's more room for mistake. There's more room for different opinion, right?
True.
On that note as well, right, it does make sense what you guys were talking about. If you move to another place, you'll be able to gain exposure to much wider target audience. More people will talk about you. All right, and on to our next segment, Would You Rather? But first, cheers!
Cheers!
All rather not.
Ooh.
Here comes the big question for the night, right? What dirt are you willing to settle in order to become famous? Before that, let me set some boundaries first, okay? Meaning, what kind of shit are you willing to take? Or are you even willing to be famous or infamous for the following issues? Please rank from you would never let it happen to okay lah, can. Alright? So the first question is, are you willing to get caught promoting fake brands? For me, personally, of course. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, no big deal.
Wait, do I know it's fake?
Yes.
That's a good question.
Yes.
Oh,
How
I
about
know
yes?
it's fake.
Yeah, if you
Then
know it's
can I
fake.
say it's fake? Or do I have to market
You got
it as
caught.
real?
You got caught. Yeah,
So I
you
have
got
to
caught.
market it as real.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like you're aware of it.
As an Asian, no. But if I was not a financial planner, then I would say yes. Yeah.
I want to insert your
Yeah.
current job.
Qualifiers. Okay.
Okay.
How about your end units?
I find it difficult because like as a girl, I do understand the importance of fashion and brands. So if I got caught doing this,
Remember,
right,
you got a few more. You need a rank on it.
I would say I will rank it as like from never to okay can settle, maybe second last never.
Second last never.
Oh,
Okay.
that's quite bad
Probably
already, eh.
wouldn't. Yeah.
No much room for mistakes here.
You guys have no idea what's in store next, okay?
Okay, but it's not about brands actually. It's about you lying. Because
you
you know then you have to tell people it's real. It's like I wear
Yeah.
Gucci, then I
See,
say like
the stakes are higher.
this is Gucci, but then later on everybody will know that it's
You
not
bought it
damn
off
Gucci.
like at some knockoff.
Yeah, and you
place.
knew it. It's not like her,
Yeah.
she can say now she don't know the
Yeah,
Freezia.
for Freezia.
For me, it's so long as it's not something that involves like it endangers lives personally. Okay.
Okay.
If you're telling me that like okay, I'm to recommend a fake product that like okay is
Or like
able
health
to
supplement.
cure cancer or health
Ah.
supplement, that one is a big no for me.
Yeah, okay.
But
okay.
if you're talking about like, I'm using Gucci and I tell you, and if you
Okay.
believe it, then I guess you need to do your homework. You need to do
yeah,
the due diligence, right?
Exactly.
Okay, great. So here comes the next couple of questions. Right? Okay, how well are you willing to settle to get caught cheating in marriage?
So like the incident of Wang Li Hong, right?
Yeah, he kena cancelled a lot, yeah. That one. Okay, so this would you rather is as me as a human, not as an agent. Okay? So the answer is get caught, but as a get
Never
known,
get caught or can settle for getting.
get
Well,
settled
well,
as
for
being
being well
known as an adulterer, right? Wow, not bad That's a very good name for a guy. Basically, you're a stud Yeah lor, why
It
not?
seems like it's actually a boost in your reputation
Yeah,
rather than
I'm a key that
demerit.
opens many locks
A master key,
Yeah,
right?
master key, yo.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness. Okay,
goodness.
but for me personally, this is on my never list. Okay. I mean,
Wow, what a
Nice.
family man.
Right.
Gonna never think properly.
I'm a chat, right? I'm a chat, not a stud.
For me, right, I would
Wow,
be
but
on the same.
No lah, you're the
But
lock
I'm
that is
married.
opened by many keys
Hey, stop defining me through your gender lens, okay? Hello.
Please respect the decision.
Yeah, gender equality, yo. Okay, there's no locks, no keys, no nothing, okay? Just people.
Okay, how willing are you to settle if you got caught soliciting underage teenagers for sex?
Wow, told this one.
Never.
This one confirm never lah. This one go jail one leh. They go jail no need to play already what.
True.
True. All right.
Never.
Never. Okay.
Same.
We're all in alignment with this. Okay. Good. And the last one. How willing are you to settle for lying in parliament?
To me, lying in parliament is never lah. Cannot settle lah. This particular choice, I surmise, is coming from the standpoint of Raisa Khan's incident. A summary of what happened to her, right? She was caught lying in parliament, right? And her lie wasn't just tied to her, right? She implicated the head of Workers' Party, right? And it was too much already. I think the damage was really quite extensive and not only tied to her alone. So, I mean, if it's me, it shouldn't even happen. Okay, I felt that you shouldn't be doing all these things in the first place. Whether you got caught or not, right? That's not even a question. So I feel that
Right.
it's a never.
But that's the thing here. We're talking about would you rather, right? So it's assuming all the would you rather is you should never have done all this. That's why it's a point of contention. So it's like which of these evils will you, if you were doing all of them, which will you want to be caught for?
That's true.
Yeah, so-
but it's still a never lah.
Yeah, I would think never also because this one is damn big legal implication. So to me, if got legal implication, I'm like, nah thanks.
For me, it is something that I will never be able to settle for as well. I mean, okay, to be frank, politicians don't always say the truth.
True.
Right? So, and even like, let's say as an individual or whatnot, people tell half truths. But if whatever that you're saying in parliament is a blatant lie, that's where you realize that it's a problem, because then you are just being, bluntly put, an idiot for blatantly putting out a lie that you cannot support or substantiate. If you are to get caught for lying, then yeah, there are very severe civil and legal repercussions to it. So never for me.
I would say as well, right, the context of Singapore politics as well. Because Singapore politics is known to be clean. Okay, right? It's supposed to be free of corruption, and that's why we pay our ministers so high. The kind of expectation that we have of SG politics.
True.
If you were to look at like UK politics, you're going to look at Malaysian politics, right? Like the politicians, the way they behave
It's
during
like,
a
they lie, then they
parliamentary,
lie,
during a parliamentary hearing, right? It's like, wow, it's a circus act. But at the same time, that's how it is. It is their political scene, right? But in Singapore, this cannot happen.
True.
All right, so thank you for watching and listening to our podcast. If you like what you're watching and listening to, please like, subscribe, and remember to tune in continually, as this is going to be an ongoing series.
Let us know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts about the different celebrities and public figures that we have talked about. See you. Bye.